Now, today we're going to talk about the Thirsty Earth Troubleshooting Guide. If you've got leaks or your water vessel is emptying out in more than less than a day. Now, that can also depend on how many pots you're running off it. But if you're just running 6 pots, 12 pots, this should be lasting well and truly more than a day. If it's going through more than that, you will find that you've probably got a leak somewhere. So I'm going to start at the very top of the system. So if you've got a leak coming from here, you'll just need to use a crescent spanner and tighten it very, very gently. Do not over tighten. It is plastic, and so it will thread if you over tighten it. If you've tightened it a little bit and it's still leaking, then you'll need to get another washer and put another washer on there and just re-tighten that. You should have no problems there at all. So then getting to the next problem that you're possibly getting a leak is if you're getting a leak from here at where it goes in. So one of the important things here is that you need to make sure that it's really, really well joined in. And with that, what you want to do is you want to make sure you can see that. I mean, it's a little bit furry on the end. It hasn't been cut straight. That will leak. You need to make it nice straight cut and a nice clean cut. Okay, so it's nice and round. And then when you put these in, you need to make sure that they get seated right in. Okay, and that's beautifully seated in now. I can feel that's gone, it's sort of almost hit the other end. And now if you have to remove it, you pull this in and you just pull it out. Okay, so you'll see it, that's gone in there. It should go quite a way in. It's gone up to my fingernail there. I'll just pull that out again. So that's really important that they are cut straight. Now, the next possible leak that you might have is if you've got a leak if it's filling up the little cup in here. So what might have caused that leak is that when you've pushed this one down, as opposed to seating down in it, it's actually just pushed the whole thing in. So you can see that sliding up and down easy. So what's happened here is wasn't tight enough. And so just pull that out a little bit, tighten it up, and then push that down. And then you'll find that'll seat in there, okay? Now, if you get like a gushing type leak, what might have happened here is, I'll just take these off. Sometimes they can be a little bit of a pain to come off. There you go. A gushing leak is when you've bled the system, you have a little O-ring here. Now, if that O-ring has come off because you've pulled it up too high, or it's gone on slightly at an angle, it will not form a proper seal. So just get the O-ring, put it back on, and then push that down. Now, it'll seat itself properly in there. When you push this down, it'll just fix itself slightly in there. Now, I like to leave these up a little bit. So then if I need to get this one off, I can actually get that off. So once again, you want to tighten that quite nicely. You can just do it hand tight, and then that'll stop that pushing down. That'll allow you to push this one onto that nicely there. Okay, so then now the other place where you might get a leak is you might get a leak coming from the seam here. Okay, and one of the ways you can tell that is if you push it up like that, and if water comes out here, that means you've got a leak from the seam. So the way to fix that is to take the cup off, okay, and then very, very carefully you take it's just an electrical tie, but you want to be careful when you push it through, no more than one click. Just try it at one click, okay? The other thing that might happen is these might have come down, or it might have basically got out of shape. So you just put these back into shape. Next thing you do is push this back on here, make sure that goes down nice and seated, and then put the tie back on. You can see that's actually quite loose. I'm actually just going to give that one more click. Just want that to be nice. Because even though it's running at 1 psi, there's still actually pressure on that, and that'll pop that thing. And there's no leaks there, so we'll put that back in and connect that back up. So then the last, you might see some original videos where when you're bleeding the system, you'd actually play with this screw, or you might have a little bit of a leak through this screw. Look, you don't need to touch it anymore, because now what we do is when we bleed the system, we bleed it through here. So when we're bleeding the system, we do it like that. That bleeds the system. So you shouldn't have to touch this screw. Don't touch it. You won't have a problem with it. But if you do find that it is actually leaking from there, just undo it a little bit and then just take it back in, and don't over tighten it again. Just make sure it's nicely seated in there, and that should resolve that leak. Possibility is if you've checked all of those items and you still have no leaks and it's still going through too much water, then you possibly got a cracked pot. Okay, so then you just need to come back out and actually just check the pots. Sometimes they can be very difficult to see. We check all the pots before they go out to ensure there's no leaks or no cracks. Yeah, and that's it. Now, if you've still got problems, give us a call, send us an email, send us a text. The email and everything's at the end of this video, and we'll get this problem sorted out for you.